Do you often catch yourself thinking of what exactly you're going to say a few moments before you say the actual thing? Do you frequently make mistakes such as saying the wrong word or mixing up letters in words because you constantly think of a number of different ways to say the particular thing? If you recognize yourself from my description, don't worry, you're not unique. There are thousands of other foreign English speakers who speak following the same pattern. They prepare speech in their head beforehand and then try to say it out loud. As you already know, it creates all sorts of English fluency issues, with the most noticeable being hesitation, stuttering, and using wrong words or wrong grammar constructs. In other words, you sound very uncertain, and your conversation partner may get the wrong impression that you don't really know what you're thinking or what you're trying to say, although in reality it's quite the opposite. You know exactly what you want to say, and you know how to say it in 5 different ways, and all those sentences are right here in your mind, and it's just that when you speak out loud, you kind of want to say it all at once. I've been in the same boat, my friend. I know exactly how it feels, and I also know what causes this problem. Would you like to understand the reasons behind this issue so that you can start dealing with it? Then stay with me for a few more minutes and I'll explain everything to you. Okay, let me ask you this question. Have you ever thought that any issue of psychological nature can be traced back to childhood? I bet you know that it's what a psychotherapist would do if you went to him complaining about some sort of a phobia or a mental issue. He'd hypnotize you and put you into sleep-like trance and then starts asking relevant questions which might give him clues as to what events from your early years might have created your phobia. The very same goes with this problem of preparing speech in your head before speaking out. It actually originates back in the day when you started learning English at school, or even on your own. As you might remember, most of the time in the English class was dedicated to writing stuff in your copybooks, new words, sample sentences, and so on. Homework had to be done in written format as well. I think it's fair to say that about 90% of your time spent on English studies focused around the written word. You had to read, you had to write, but one way or another, all you did was you trained your visual memory a whole lot more than it was necessary. I believe this is the very root of this issue, my friends foreign English speakers. This constant exposure to written English makes your brain to visualize English words and sentences even when you speak. Years upon years of constructing English sentences in your copybooks has made you into a perfect English writer and a so-so speaker, because the moment you open your mouth to say something during an actual conversation, you keep seeing the copybook in front of you. Worst of all, this visualization process constantly distracts you, and as a result, you can't get fully involved into the conversation. When you open your mouth to start speaking, you keep seeing multiple options on how to say the particular thing, because your brain is used to constructing English sentences on paper, which involves careful consideration and decision-making on how to say it best in terms of grammar, words used, and so on. This all eventually leads to an information overload and leaves you frustrated, stressed out, and generally unhappy with your spoken English performance. So now, when we've established the reason behind you preparing your speech before you pronounce the actual sentence, you have to understand what natural English fluency entails and how to train yourself to speak without much thinking. Basically, all you have to do is analyze how you speak in your native language. You have to agree that most of the time there's no speech preparation involved. Especially when you speak about simple topics on casual occasions, you don't put too much thought into the process of creating the sentences and choosing the right words. It happens automatically, and the process takes care of itself. When you learn to speak your native language, you acquire the ability to speak first, and only then you started attending school and learned how to read and write. The process is reversed actually when learning English, and you first learn how to read, write, and only then comes the spoken word. Only then you train to stick words together and create sentences and speak. Anyway, basically there are 2 types of situations you can find yourself in: using English with work colleagues, fellow college students or friends, and speaking English in more formal settings, such as company meetings, interviews, and discussing more complicated topics. The first type of situations involve more small talk and phrases that are used frequently because you meet the same people every day and you speak about more or less the same things. Now, what you should aim for such occasions is saying what you want to say instantly, automatically, and without much consideration. To achieve that, I suggest you to say the first thing that comes into your mind out loud. Don't even wait that split second that it takes your brain to start analyzing your speech in terms of grammar. So actually you have to beat your own brain by speaking out loud first. Yes, you will make mistakes when you speak this way. But then again, did you not make them even with this whole analysis and preparation process going on in your head? Surely you did. So you're not much worse off. You can be certain of that. All you have to do is learn to ignore your own embarrassment and also ignore what others might think about you making mistakes. Of course, it's not a good idea to speak too fast because you run the risk of getting completely tongue-tied, and then you'll find yourself in an even worse position than initially. You have to learn to find the right balance between trying to speak too fast and taking extra time to consider how it's best to say the particular thing. And believe me, it's possible to achieve this fine balance. The second types of conversations are those when you just can't speak too fast due to the complex nature of the topic in question, or because the conversation takes place in a formal setting and then the stress factor kicks in. For situations like these, the solution is to learn smart phrases such as speaking in terms of, you can rest assured that, I'm not in a position to, and similar ones, to fill in gaps between moments of hesitation, and so that you can get the speech going that way. The more phrases and idiomatic expressions you learn, the more automatic your speech is going to become. And where there's automation, there's little room for deliberate consideration. And that's exactly what you're trying to avoid, my friend foreign English speaker. Is that right? Anyway, to find more relevant information on how to improve your spoken English, please visit my blog at EnglishHarmony.com. But now it's time to say goodbye. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you'll put my advice to good use. See you soon again.